Hello students and welcome to week 2, and this is our second lecture in the series. Today we're going to be talking about forms of business ownership, and we'll be discussing 3 basic forms of business ownership. And the first one would be a sole proprietor, the second one would be a partnership, and the third is going to be corporations. A sole proprietor is one of the most common forms of businesses in North America, and we encounter that probably almost every day. It could start from a normal pizza shop, maybe a grocery store, maybe a lemonade stand. Um, it could be a Chinese food restaurant. A sole proprietor is one that owns a business solely without sharing that ownership with someone else or with sharing that with a partner. One person owns that particular business, and that's why it's called a sole proprietor. There are certain characteristics that distinguish this type of business, and as mentioned before, it's owned by a single individual. One person owns the business. It could be a mom or a pop or a business. That's how it's often described, and it's oftentimes on a smaller scale. It's in the neighborhood. It's always caters for customers because most times the customers are well known. It's a one-on-one relationship with the business, especially since it's most times it's a small um, operation. Uh, that single individual who owns this business, he or she takes all the risks. So, for example, if he or she can't pay a particular debt, um, his all assets are going to be liquidated. Whether if they have a house or a boat or anything, any type of assets could be liquidated in order to pay their debts. So all risk are taken by that one individual, and he or she is reliable, um, is liable and obligated without limits. So one example we can look at in terms of a business propriety is maybe an internet business. There are a lot of internet businesses that are linked with eBay, selling cars, electronics, all these various consumer items. We can consider these as sole proprietors operating on the internet. Another form of business is partnership, and a partnership is a business relationship which may or may not consist of a written contract. For example, 3 people may get together and say, you know what, let's form a business, and it's an oral contract, nothing written there, and it's considered legal. And this form of business is the least popular in North America for good reason, and we'll discuss that momentarily. But partnership is the least popular form of business in North America. Some of the characteristics of the partnership, um, it is created by the consent of all partners, of course, and this business can consist of a law firm, consist of accounting firm. Accountants get together and decide, you know what, let's form a business, and that could be a partnership right there. Most times it would be in writing. It doesn't have to be, but it is still considered a partnership. Partnership will be terminated at any time. If one partner withdraws, the partnership is is broken up, and the business is no longer existing. The risk and liabilities are shared equally most times among these partners. So unlike a sole proprietor where one person incurs all the risks, in a partnership, the risk and responsibilities, the liabilities are spread throughout, and each partner has to accept these various risks involved in running the business. Uh, let's explore the reason why the partnership is the least popular form of business in the United States and possibly parts of the world. The nature of the partnership exposes opportunity for disagreement. So we have 3 people or 4 people running this business. Oftentimes, they're not going to see eye to eye. One person is going to believe what would be the belief that the business should run in this direction. The other person may believe the business must run in that particular direction. So there are various strategies competing for prominence, and unless they all have an agreement, the business cannot be run successfully. So everyone may at times have a different opinion. If the partners are mature enough, they can work out the differences, and the businesses often would be successful. Every partner is jointly responsible for all the debts of the business, and this is something that's very important, because if the partners, let's say, want to expand and they borrow monies, each of them are going to be responsible for paying back that money in terms of the principal and the interest and all that. So it does create some form of relief when it comes to paying the bills together. So the partnership, it could be formed anytime, and it could be dissolved at any time. The final form of business is a corporation, and this is considered a separate or distinct entity from that of its owners in law. So when we talk about a sole proprietor, we talk about partnerships. These forms of businesses can be identified with its owners. They are considered one. If you're suing the business, you're suing the owner at the same time. So they're not separate in law. But when it comes to a corporation is a distinct business from that of its owners. So if you decide to sue the corporation, you're not suing the owners, and vice versa. So this is a very complex or complicated form of business that we see today, and some corporations would include Macy's. Some corporations would include all these various gas and oil companies like Amoco, Shell, Wells Fargo. All these are corporations that exist to serve various customers and the various niches that are dependent on these corporations. So corporations, they have a lot of advantages to corporations, and some include the fact that many lenders and investors would rather put their money into corporations, avoiding sole proprietors and partnership. This is due to the many risks involved in partnerships and sole proprietors. Sole proprietors don't have the expertise, or can't always afford the expertise to run that business. They don't always have the capital to provide for the business when it actually needs to. It doesn't have that ability to adapt in the environment because of the limited expertise of the owners. The partnerships, because of its volatility, it can't compare to corporations. Partnerships, if partners disagree, partnerships could be dissolved anytime. So it's a higher risk in business. Corporations, they have higher growth potential. This is due to the fact that many people, including investors and bankers, are willing to put finance into them because they know that corporations often pay various types of dividends to their investors, and most corporations are successful. This is due to the fact that they can afford the right amount of expertise, personnel. They can do, they can afford market research, they can afford advertising. They're very versatile when it comes to the market and adapting to the market. So corporations are the best forms of business. So there are a lot of advantages to corporations. Corporations do have some disadvantages in the sense that they are not in touch with businesses. They're not in touch with the customers as a smaller business would be. So this concludes the end of week 2's lecture. Thank you.